Okay, in this tutorial we're going to use digimap to get a site map. And first thing we need to do is log in, and there's a password which is just the same as your normal university library password. You'll have to register with them and say what you want to use it for education. Then we go to Ordnance Survey Rome. Obviously you're agreeing. And then you can either type in postcode or just use the zooming and scrolling, and I'll use the university there, no, back down there, university as the site that I'm going to download. So now I'm just zooming it up to this view. Once we've got a view which takes the part you want, you can click print, and there we want a PDF format. The next thing you need to do is work out roughly what proportion you want a print scale. So I'm going to use 1000, so this will make scaling it later a lot easier because we know it's just scaled by 1000. And then obviously the amount that you want on your page. So I want more that I can see there, so I'm going to go up for a larger A2 size. You can obviously go up to A0. It makes fairly large files because there's lots of lines that are overlaid from each other. So some of these processes might take a while, but I'll skip through them on this tutorial and to speed it up. So here's our PDF file, and just drag that onto the desktop and open with Illustrator. So the reason we're using Illustrator is to just work out what the drawing has on it and what lines are there. So it's a vector file, so it's made up out of dots and lines between those. You can see there's various information embedded into this file, and the main one being this clipping mask around the edge. I'm just using the white arrow in Illustrator to delete that, and by pressing the delete twice. So once we've done all that, save as. There's three main file types to look at. The first one's just a standard resave as a PDF, which is probably the most useful way. And just in general, the other way that you may want to save it is as a DXF file or as an EPS file. So that's saving it as a PDF, and then what we'll do is just go through a few extra things that Illustrator can do in terms of adjusting this file to go into Vectorworks. So if I select a line, I've got this house selected here, and then go for stroke color or fill color. Okay, that's selected a whole load of lines. You can see all the extra lines that are in this file. So I'm just going to lock those lines because I don't want to delete all of those. What I want is one with the sort of the orangey brown fill. So I'm just going to go up to lock and then the selection. Right, so I can see that this has that, and then we do select same fill color, and it will select anything on that drawing with that same fill color. So if you want to change all of those, you can do that fairly simply. Now this is useful in terms of being able to select multiple objects without having to hold down the shift and select them individually. So you just select one, and then the same fill color, and you can adjust them. So same, okay. So that's what our drawing looks like. You'll often find all those extra lines may slow the drawing down. You may want to delete them away. So I'm just selecting this and using that same technique, so same, but this time I'm going to do stroke color. And you can see there's lots of hatching here that actually isn't being used at all, so that'll save lots of information in the file. So delete that away, and you can pick through the different lines, select them and just make the file a lot lighter by deleting duplicate lines. Okay, so now we're back into Vectorworks, import PDF, and then we'll select the PDF that we saved up and import. So this might take some time. This is a good indication of how large a file is. Okay, so that's sped up. And the first thing we want to do is understand about scale. So I'm going to draw a line over our known scale that's on this map. Now this line I'm going to draw over the 10, so that's 10 meters. So if I click a point, another point, that's showing up as 10, but actually that's 10 millimeters. So we need to scale this whole map. And we'll go back into the layers and then scale using the layer scale. So we want the actual drawing to be 1:1. So a scale factor of 1000, yep, that's perfect. Click OK. So that will make the drawing very big, so we'll just see a small section of this when it's actually done a scale. Okay, and zoom out from there. So now our drawing is 1000 times bigger than it was. It's at 1:1. And we're going to use the layer scale to scale it. So open up the layer dialog, double click and change the scale there. 1:1000. So now our drawings you can get very small. So there it is, zoom all the way back in. And now we're going to set the page up to print. So if we do File, Page Setup, and Print Setup, and if I go for A1 Landscape, OK, OK, so you can see the size correct there. So this now means that our page size is A1. So I'm going to use this now to do some tracing over with a polyline. And you can see you can snap from points to point, but the lines that I'm drawing actually represent the true dimension of that building. So I'll just quickly fast forward it. And this is where Vectorworks is great. You can start to use it for the graphics. So I'll do a bit more tracing. Yeah, and you can change the attributes to be different colours, have different transparencies, and really start to work into the file. And essentially make it your own. So it isn't a digimap. You're just using the digimap as the input information. So change the fill colour, opacity. Yeah, and you can see how you can start to either overlay the map, and obviously you can. I'll show you in a minute how to take it away. We'll put it onto a different layer. And now I just need to send this back. Oh no, that's gone behind the whole map. So I need to send the map back. So this is modify send and then to back, and that puts the map at the back. So you've got 1 being the map, 2 being the red, and the building, white building, number 3 on top of that. So you can adjust the arrangement. Just add in a few more lines. Obviously this is very quickly done and crudely done, and you can spend a lot more time getting a lot more accurate information. But you can see how fairly quickly you can start to map out maybe key areas or points that you want to put importance to, and then take away the map from behind, and there you know you've got your to scale and proportion map. So actually if I was going to put this on a different layer, I'll do a new layer, OK, and it's still at 1:1000 scale, so that's now on that new layer. So I need to change up in the navigation where I go, so it's up here, that out of the way. So here we go. That there is the layers, so it's design layer 1, and there should be design layer 2, yeah, okay. So double click that one, and we're back on design layer 1. So I can change which layer each element is, so I'm changing that map onto design layer 2. That'll take some time, again. And it's grayed out, so I want to be able to see that. So if you look, layer options, and you can do show others. So it's now showing the other layer. Okay, it's on top of that layer, so I need to move the layer position, so back up to the layer dialog, and if you go over where it says 1, 2, you can just drag them and drop them above each other. Okay, so now the original layer we had was there, and the layer with the map is underneath, so I can turn the visibility of that on and off, so depending on how you want to print it out. Okay, and just to show you that we are now working at a one-to-one model, so this might be a proposition. Okay, I want a 30-meter square building, so type in 30,000, and there we have that in that site.